All right, so the reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like you guys need to be aware of influencers and why they exist, why the term was even created, who they are, and their impact on the world. And first of all, let's talk about the term itself, right? An influencer is basically somebody on social media that has a lot of influence. It's kind of a, you know, self-explanatory term, right? But it didn't really like people didn't really care about the term itself until basically social media started to take over the world, right? When YouTube got bigger and Twitter and all these different social media platforms. So you have basically the demons that control the world, deep state, whatever you want to call them, the evil ones. They started labeling people influencers because they use these people to basically manipulate the world and have these people be a front man for them or somebody that is in the public eye that they can use to put out opinions through these people, and those people basically work for the evil ones without even knowing it. And I'm not sure this is the only thing I'm not sure of when it comes to influencers. I'm not sure to the degree that they know that they're working for the evil ones. And sadly, a lot of them think that they're doing a service to the world. And don't get me wrong, they're not all bad people. And I use Tim Pool as an example because he's probably one of the, if not the biggest influencer on YouTube, right? Which is the platform that I mainly use to make videos. Why does that matter? Because he has a lot of power and sway. As much as he tries to play it, if you've ever watched, him talk about himself, he tries to act like he's the small guy. Like, I don't know if he's been paying attention to his life over the last 10 years or so, but he's not this small guy on YouTube with like 5K subs coming up and skateboarding in the background. Like, that's not who he is anymore. He is monumental when it comes to being an influencer and the people that he gets on to speak with him. He's talked to Trump, he's talked to Joe Rogan, he's talked to a lot of major people, right? So he's not going to be talking to these people, and those people are also influencers, right? Joe Rogan, Trump, and all these other people, Elon Musk. There's a whole list of them. As a matter of fact, if you're a big presence on social media, you are automatically an influencer, right? I'm an influencer, but to a very small degree, to the point where I wouldn't be really considered an influencer, right? So no one's going to consider me an influencer because I don't really have a lot of clout like these people do, right? And that's fine by me, right? And maybe someday I'll get to that point. Who cares? I'm not worried about that right now. But for the sake of this conversation, we're just going to focus on these people, right? And he always tries to downplay himself, Tim Pool. Like he's like, oh, I don't really have a lot of power. People don't really care what I have to say, blah, blah, blah. I'm just a guy. No, you're not, dude. You have a lot of power and a lot of influence in the world. Whether you realize it or not, whether you want to take responsibility or not, whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. It is what it is. You have a lot of power and influence in the world, and you need to understand that. And I don't want to sound corny or bring up like some Marvel lines or like Spider-Man shit, but you know what they say, right? With great power comes great responsibility. It's true. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, whether you think that's just part of a comic book or whatever, it's the truth. He has a lot of power and he has to be responsible with that power, whether and that's the thing. A lot of these influencers, they like having the power, but they don't want any responsibility. So they like being able to mold the world in the way that they want, shape the world in the way that they want, tell people what they want to tell them, have people pay them money and all this and that, right? They like all of that shit. But when it comes to, hey, Tim Pool, did you realize that your opinions are taken serious by millions of people and people actually follow you and believe in you, and that's why they are giving you money and sub to you? It's because they actually agree with what you're saying, and You're influencing them into believing something, whether you want to or not. You're basically controlling their thoughts and their minds, whether you want to or not. That's the thing he needs to understand. And these other influencers need to understand the same fucking thing. It doesn't matter whether you want to do that or not. You are doing that. Period. Bottom line. And if you don't want to do that, and if you don't want to have that kind of power, and again, I'm gonna say this again. It's not that they don't want to have the power. It's that they don't want the responsibility of having the power. They just want the power. They don't want people to blame them or say, it's your fault that people think this. They don't want that. They only want to manipulate the situations. And that's why I talk about people like Tim Pool or other people, right? There are plenty of other influencers, right, that I can talk about. But I'm focused on him right now because, again, he is in the space that I operate and make my videos that I take the most serious. He is pretty much the biggest one out there right now. He's the most relevant. He's the one that people take the most serious and respect the most. So yeah, I'm going to talk about him, right? And I'm going to talk about other people too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just getting started. Like, we're not even close to anything. Like, I'm just warming up. But I'm going to go after the big guys first. So my thing is, my issue with Tim Pool and all these other influencers is that they say a lot of shit and they have a lot of opinions and thoughts. And a lot of times they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but they like to put shit out there, right? Because they want people to follow them and believe in the things that they believe in. Even if what they believe in or say is not true, or they can't prove it, they're just talking out of their ass. But they want people to go along with what they're saying. So they'll just throw shit out there and be like, all right, well, I think this, or I believe this, or I feel this way. And then people latch onto that shit. And then they'll come back and be like, well, you don't have to believe me, or you don't have to agree with me. Let me tell you guys something about me. This is the biggest difference between people like me and Tim Pool. I want people to listen to me, and I will take full responsibility if people follow what I say. That's what I want. Like I said in my last couple of videos, I want the world to change in the way that I want it to change, and to be the way that I want it to be. And in order for me to do that, I have to put out my ideas, and people have to listen to me, and they have to do what I want. You can call it whatever you want, mind control, being a dictator, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter, because whether you're listening to me or listening to Tim Pool or listening to Trump or listening to somebody else, to your religion, to your God, whatever you believe in or whatever you listen to, your politics, your country, whatever you believe in, you already have something in your life that's controlling your thoughts and making you feel a certain way and think a certain way. That's 99.9% of humanity. There are very few people like me that think for themselves and have their own original thoughts. I'm very rare, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant. And if I'm arrogant or I sound arrogant to you, I don't give a shit. It's the truth. Very few people in the world can think for themselves. They're stuck on what somebody said or what somebody did or what they read in a book or what their religion, like, people can't go beyond that. Most people, right? So again, back to Tim Pool. He doesn't want that kind of power or responsibility. He wants the power to be able to mold things the way he wants, but he doesn't want people to put any responsibility on him if people follow him and worship him and go the way that he wants them to go. You know why? Because if something goes wrong and he's wrong, then he can absolve himself and say, well, I told you not to do that, or I told you not to follow me, or you should make your own decisions. But he knows just as well as anybody, and if he doesn't, I'm saying it now. He'll probably never watch this video, but fuck it. Maybe someday I will talk to him and I'll tell him to his face. But long story short, he knows that what he's saying and doing has an effect, and people are going to listen and follow, whether he wants to or not. And that's the issue. He knows what he's doing, but he wants to pretend like, oh, I'm just saying my opinions. This is what I think. it's my own thoughts. Okay, cool, whatever. All right, so now I'm gonna show you guys a clip of him talking on his podcast, the Timcast IRL. He does this like every Monday through Friday, blah blah blah, 8 o'clock, right? And I'm probably gonna do some shit like this too, because to finish off, my overall assessment or view of Tim Pool, I think he has a lot of good ideas. I think as an entrepreneur and a businessman, especially when it comes to YouTube, he's literally the master. He knows how to do this shit. He knows how to make money. He knows how to put out content. He's like flawless when it comes to his schedule. He has a lot of good things about him. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Tim Pool. I think overall he's a good person. And I think he means well overall. But then he's going to say some shit like what I'm about to show you guys. And this is my issue, because I know the truth of the world, right? So when I see somebody as big as him saying things that contradict what I know to be the truth, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a clash, because a lot of people are going to think the way that he thinks. And then I'm going to have to deal with those people at some point, right? If I get big enough. They're going to come to me and say, oh, well, you're wrong. And I'm going to know where they got their thoughts from. It's going to be from Tim Pool. They got it from Tim Pool. I'm going to be like, oh, so because he said this. So now you think that's the truth. Well, you're fucking wrong and he's wrong, right? So eventually, when the full real truth comes out of everything of how the world works, you're going to see that Tim Pool didn't know a lot of things. And he misled a lot of people. And it's not just him. Again, I'm not saying he's the only one or he's even the worst one. He's not the worst one. Not even close. He's one of the better ones, actually. But he is one of the biggest. And that's what matters the most. So without further ado, I'm going to show you what he said. I'm going to react to it after he's done talking. I don't know how long I'm going to play, maybe a minute or two. I'm not going to play too much of it. I just want you to see something that he said. And I'm going to show you my problem with it, and then I'm probably going to be finished with the video.
Donald Trump's DOJ has launched a criminal investigation into former FBI Director James Comey and Brennan himself, John Brennan, of course. These are the deep state. Kash Patel, or two agents of Kash Patel, recently said that James Comey is responsible for the largest criminal conspiracy against the United States. Now, as many people have been wondering, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? We already saw the feds issue criminal charges for 324 people for Medicaid, Medicare, and other healthcare fraud. So this is targeting those that were defrauding the government. They were slowly beginning, and now we have the next major move. And it is small. Not entirely sure why this story leaked. We don't have all the details, and it kind of gives a heads up to these guys. But it does look like Trump's DOJ is making moves against the deep state. So we'll talk about that, plus updates on the ambush against the CBP and ICE officers over the weekend from July 4th to the 7th, where an organized group of armed leftists, black-clad, were drawing out cops by launching fireworks, and then a guy hid in the woods and opened fire on them. These are crazy stories. And then, my friends, quite possibly the weirdest story, Grok hates Jews. It does. I mean, I think they tried to fix it, but all of a sudden today, I guess they were tweaking the Grok AI, which of course is, X, formerly Twitter, and it started saying it was noticing things, then started disparaging a woman for having a Jewish-sounding last name. I think it's a German last name, but a Jewish-sounding last name. And then it went on to praise Adolf Hitler. Grok actually argued in favor of what Hitler was doing. That's really weird. And then I guess they tried fixing it, and now Grok is talking about how it would sexually abuse some liberal guy? Is that the guy like a leftist?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I want to focus on, because he said a lot of shit, but I want to focus on, and I haven't watched this stream. I used to watch Tim Pool all the fucking time because that's where I got a lot of my news, because I thought he did a good job covering the news. But then he kept saying stupid shit that I didn't agree with. And when he would just cover the news, he was pretty good at that. But when he started to put his 2 cents and opinion into shit, it was hard to watch. I was like, I can't keep watching this shit. It's fucking irritating the shit out of me. And I think what bothers me the most is how much influence he has. And the stupid shit he says that I'm like, bro. So let's talk about what he said here. So he talked about the deep state and Donald Trump's DOJ, blah, 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 right? Here's the problem, Tim Pool. It sounds really retarded to somebody like me for you to say that, because I know that Trump is part of the deep state. And that will eventually be revealed. There are two things that can happen in this world. Either the full truth will come out, which is what I'm trying to do, or we're never going to see the real truth and the lies will continue to prevail. Right now, him saying that, separating Trump and the deep state is a lie, because he's not making the connection, and he's not purposely and maliciously lying. He's not, at least I don't think. But he should know by now, as much as he has a lot of connections, as many people as he knows, and as big as he is, there's no fucking way that you don't know that Trump is part of the fucking deep state. But why won't he say that? Because it doesn't benefit him to expose Trump as being part of the deep state. And he knows that he'll probably lose his status. He'll lose his influence. A lot of MAGA followers and people that, rock with him because he follows Trump, they're going to leave his ass. And he doesn't want to do that. Like, he's very worried, at least I think. This is my interpretation of what he's doing. He's worried about how people are going to look at him. So his ego is so big that he's like, well, if I start talking about this kind of crazy shit and saying this crazy stuff, no one's going to take me seriously. They're used to me being this way. So if I start saying this, they're going to think, I'm a conspiracy theorist and no one's going to follow me. No one's going to like me. I think that's I think that's his problem. Do I know that for sure? No. Only Tim Pool could tell you if that's true or not. This is just my outside assessment. I'm on the outside looking in. This is what I think he's doing. But regardless of that, I'm going to say this again. Whether Tim Pool wants to tell the truth or not about Trump being part of the deep state, two things can happen. Either it's never going to come out, or when it does come out, you're going to see how full of shit he is. And if I have anything to do with it or anything to say about it, which is what I'm doing, it will be revealed. The truth will be revealed. How do I know that Trump is part of the deep state? Well, he's working for the government, right? He is a puppet of the government. He works for the government. And anybody that's associated with the United States government or any government is automatically part of the deep state, because the deep state, they're basically the ones that control the world. They control everything. They control all the governments. They control all the nations, all the politicians, all the queens, kings, monarchs, whatever you want, whatever political thing you think is going on, the deep state controls all of that shit. And who really is the deep state? The real deep state? There's the demons and the aliens and those evil ones that I talk about that control the world. That's who the real deep state is. Trump is a puppet for them. Trump would not be the president if it wasn't for them. They tell Trump when he will be the president. You know why he lost in 2020? Because they said, fuck you, Trump. We want Biden to be the president because we want Biden to fuck up a bunch of shit so then you can look good when you go out and fix it. Like I said before in my Trump videos, Trump's job and role, because he's a fucking actor, his role is to play the good guy role. If you're a fucking retard and an idiot and can't see what I'm saying, then you're going to think that Trump is, your savior, right? That's what most Trump supporters believe, because they're too stupid and low IQ to see through his bullshit. Even though he did January 6th on you, even though he set your ass up for failure, you're still believing in this fake motherfucker, right? Not to mention, why doesn't he want the Epstein files to be released? Ooh, I wonder why. But anyways, Trump is a fake motherfucker, okay? So when Tim Pool says shit like, oh, well, Trump, and just so you guys know, I'm going to talk way more about Trump. I'm not anywhere near done talking about the shit I'm saying right here is surface level shit. We're just getting into it, okay? But Tim Pool doesn't want people to look at him as he's exposing Trump or he hates Trump, because then it's going to make him look bad in the eyes of his followers. So he wants to keep his little fan base, right? So back to what I was saying about Tim Pool saying that Trump is not part of the deep state or he's fighting the deep state. When I hear that, that tells me that Tim Pool doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, right? So if you know what you're talking about, or if you know how the world works, then you know that Trump is a puppet for the deep state. That's the real truth of what's going on. But anyways, I think you guys get the point and my issues with Tim Pool, right? And I'm going to talk about Tim Pool in the future again. I'm going to talk about Trump. I'm going to keep talking about all this shit. I'm not nowhere near done with it. There are a few more things I wanted to say, but they're kind of escaping me right now. So I'm going to have to regroup, make another video and talk about this because I have so many things to talk about. Like my mind is full of things that I've been wanting to say for months and I've been holding back because I wasn't ready. I was dealing with personal shit. So I was like, well, fuck, I need to, gather all these ideas. And I mean, I have like maybe 100 videos that I want to make, but I don't have time to make 100 videos. So I have to really decipher and figure out what I'm going to make, right? Like sift through it and be like, all right, this is what I want to talk about right now. Anyways, I think you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. And again, I'm going to talk about other influencers. This isn't just like a Tim Pool thing. This is just one example. He talked about a whole bunch of stuff in this little clip, and all this stuff that he talked about, he doesn't realize that the evil demons that control the world are the ones that are orchestrating all this shit. Even the thing he said about Grok and Elon Musk owns Grok, right? And all this other shit, right? It's all bullshit. It's all performative garbage, but they want you to believe it's all real. So they're doing all this clown show shit, and a lot of people are falling for it. Anyways, I've said enough. I think you guys get the point. If you like, comment, subscribe, share where you can, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.